Welcome back, everyone. You know, sometimes life just feels like a tumultuous sea, doesn't it? One minute everything's calm, and the next, you're hit by a massive wave you didn't see coming. It's a feeling I think we can all relate to, whether it's a big life change or just the daily grind.
Absolutely, Lena. And often, those waves can feel incredibly overwhelming, almost like they're going to capsize your whole boat. We've all been there, right? That sense of fear, panic, maybe even helplessness when a storm rolls into our lives. But today, we want to dive into a story that offers such profound comfort and a powerful reminder of where true peace comes from.
It's one of my favorites, honestly. We're talking about the story in Mark chapter 4, verses 35 to 41, where Jesus calms the storm. Can you set the scene for us, Larry?
I'd love to. So picture this. Jesus and his disciples, they've had a long day of teaching and healing, probably exhausted. Jesus tells them, "Let's go over to the other side." So they get into a boat, and as they're sailing, Jesus, being utterly worn out, falls asleep in the stern, head on a cushion. Sounds peaceful enough, right?
Right, a quiet evening sail. But then, as stories often go, things take a dramatic turn. All of a sudden, a furious squall comes up. The wind is howling, huge waves are crashing over the boat, and it starts filling with water. I mean, these weren't just a few ripples. This was a serious, life-threatening storm.
Exactly. And remember, many of these disciples were seasoned fishermen. They knew the sea. If they were terrified, you know it was bad. They must have thought, "This is it, we're going down." Meanwhile, Jesus is still sleeping, completely undisturbed by the chaos around him. Can you imagine the frustration, the sheer panic mixed with a touch of indignation from the disciples?
Oh, totally. I can practically hear them, right? "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" That's what they cried out when they finally woke him up. It's so human, isn't it? In our moments of deepest fear, we often question if God even sees us, if he cares about the storms we're facing.
Such a relatable moment, right? And then Jesus wakes up. He doesn't panic. He doesn't scold them right away. He simply stands up, looks at the raging storm, and speaks with an authority that just, well, it blows your mind. He says, "Peace, be still." And what happens next is just incredible.
The wind died down, and it was completely calm. The storm, the waves, the fear, all of it just stopped immediately. It wasn't a gradual calming, it was instantaneous. Can you imagine being in that boat, drenched, terrified, and then in a split second, perfect stillness? The silence must have been deafening after all that noise.
And the disciples, they were utterly amazed. They looked at each other and said, "Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him." That's the key verse we're really focusing on today, isn't it? Even the winds obey him. It's such a profound statement about Jesus' authority, not just over nature, but over everything.
That's exactly it. It speaks to the fact that whatever storm we're going through, whether it's a financial crisis, a health scare, a relationship struggle, or just overwhelming anxiety, Jesus has the power to bring peace to it. He doesn't just calm the physical storm, he can calm the storms in our hearts and minds too.
And sometimes, those internal storms are even scarier than the external ones. The what-ifs, the worries, the spiraling thoughts that can keep us up at night. I know I've had plenty of those moments where my mind is just racing, and it feels like there's no way out of the anxiety. It's like my own personal tempest.
Me too, Larry. I think everyone has. And in those moments, it's easy to forget that same voice that commanded the winds and waves to be still. That same presence is available to us. It's not about making the storm disappear necessarily, but about finding peace in the storm. That's a huge distinction, I think.
It really is. Sometimes the storm keeps raging around us, But if we invite Jesus into our boat, he can calm our hearts even when the waves are still crashing. He doesn't promise a life without storms, but he does promise his presence and his peace through them. That's why the prayer we want to share today is so powerful. Jesus, calm the storms in my heart.
Oh, that's such a beautiful and necessary prayer. It acknowledges our vulnerability, our fear, and our need for him. It's an invitation for him to step in and do what only he can do. It's not a magical incantation. It's a heartfelt plea to the one who has ultimate control.
Exactly. And it's a prayer we can utter silently, shouted, whispered, anytime, anywhere. When you feel that anxiety rising, when you get that bad news, when you're just feeling overwhelmed by life, that's the prayer. Jesus, calm the storms in my heart. It shifts our focus from the problem to the solution.
And we want to give our listeners a really simple, practical action they can take when they feel those storm waves rising. It's something you can do anywhere, anytime. We call them the calm the storm breaths.
I love these. It's just 3 simple breaths, and it's a way to physically connect with that prayer. So for anyone listening, maybe try it with us right now. You can close your eyes if you feel comfortable, or just focus on your breath. We'll take 3 deep breaths together.
Okay, ready? Let's take a deep breath in, imagining the waves rising with that breath. Pause. And now, slowly breathe out, imagining the waves falling, bringing that sense of calm. Pause. Let's do that again. Breathe in, waves rise. Pause. And breathe out, waves fall. Pause. One more time, deeply in, waves rise. Pause. And slowly out, waves fall. Pause. Just doing that for a moment, you can feel a subtle shift, right?
It's amazing what just a few intentional breaths can do to help recenter you. It's not a magic cure, but it's a tool, a simple way to bring yourself back to the present, and remember that you're not alone in the storm. It allows that prayer, Jesus, calm the storms in my heart, to sink a little deeper.
Exactly. And hand in hand with that, we have an affirmation that we can speak over ourselves. Words have power, and reminding ourselves of truth can really anchor us. The affirmation for today is, Jesus gives me peace in scary times.
Oh, that's so good, Lena. Jesus gives me peace in scary times. It's not I find peace on my own, or I just have to grit my teeth through it. It's acknowledging the source of that peace. Because let's be honest, trying to conjure peace out of thin air when you're genuinely scared is almost impossible.
It really is. I remember a time, it was actually during a medical emergency with a loved one. The doctors were giving us some really frightening news, and my mind was just spiraling. I felt that complete gut-wrenching panic. But in that waiting room, I just kept repeating that simple prayer. Jesus, calm the storms in my heart. And that affirmation, Jesus gives me peace in scary times. And honestly, I didn't feel happy, but I felt a profound sense of calm. Not the absence of fear, but peace in the fear. It was like I was in the middle of a swirling tornado, but I was in the eye of it still.
That's such a powerful testimony, Lena. I've experienced something similar, though maybe not as dramatic. I remember once I had this really important deadline at work, a huge project, and everything that could go wrong did. Files corrupted, internet went down, sudden urgent meeting. My blood pressure was through the roof, I was snapping at my family. And then, I just stopped, and went for a walk, and just kept saying that affirmation. Jesus gives me peace in scary times. It didn't fix the internet, but it allowed me to approach the problems with a clear head, rather than in a complete panic. I found solutions I wouldn't have seen otherwise.
See, that's the thing. Jesus doesn't always make the problem disappear, at least not immediately. Sometimes he allows us to go through the process, but he provides the strength and the serenity to navigate it. He's teaching us to trust him more deeply through those experiences.
And it's so important to remember that even the winds obey him. That verse is not just a historical fact about one event. It's a timeless truth about his power and sovereignty over everything. Financial markets, health diagnoses, relationship breakdowns, job losses. These are all winds and waves in our lives, and Jesus' authority extends to every single one.
So when we feel those waves starting to rise and that fear starts creeping in, we have a choice, don't we? We can either let the fear consume us, or we can remember that powerful image of Jesus standing up in the boat, commanding the storm. We can call on his name, knowing he has the power to bring peace.
It's a daily decision, sometimes even an hourly or minute-by-minute decision, especially when you're in the thick of a really challenging time. To proactively choose to invite Jesus into your boat, to ask him to calm your heart. It takes practice, just like anything else.
It really does, and I think that's why these little tools like the calm the storm breaths and the affirmation are so helpful. They're tangible ways to connect with that spiritual truth in the midst of our very real, very physical struggles. They help us pause, recenter, and remember.
So as you go through your day, or week, or whatever storm you might be facing, remember that story. Remember the power of Jesus. He didn't just calm one storm 2,000 years ago. He's still in the business of calming storms today, especially the ones within us.
Exactly. Let's make that prayer, Jesus calm the storms in my heart, a consistent part of our dialogue with God. And let's remind ourselves daily, Jesus gives me peace in scary times. Because he truly does. He's faithful, even when the waves are crashing.
What a reassuring thought to carry with us. Thank you for joining us today on this journey through Mark 4. We pray that you find true peace in every story, especially the scary ones, knowing Jesus is right there with you.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Until next time, stay anchored in his peace.